Um, just a quick reminder, we do have the residential renovation coming up on January 12th through the 19th. Again, it's a great way to collect some uh, same pieces if you're looking to like add a specific piece from like the Battle Chase chest or I think it's the Space Chase thing, and I think there's a boss one. Um, they rotate every month, and each month they have a week-long event where you can engage in some daily questing for the renovation. I think it's a gal that you complete, and you earn decor through that. So just wanted to give you a heads up for those that like to engage in those to collect extras of those particular. I think this month's is Battle Chess, Battle Battle Chase set, not chess set. Chase. Anyway, we are back today on the Crimson Dawn community plot on Entity NA side. We stopped at the Echo Wing at the prefab home, and we're going to pick up where we left off and hopefully finish off the community today uh, without taking too long. Again, if it ends up extending past that, I'll just stretch it out into multiple videos from today. Yesterday I managed to squeeze it all into one for the time that we were on yesterday, but sometimes it does kind of bleed over into a little extra. Than I try to keep them to about 2 hours each session, just to make it easier for when I'm exporting it to YouTube and all that. But it's not unheard of that I split it into um, an hour plus for each video, just to make sure it doesn't get too long. Morning, Bones. Glad you could join us. And anyone else that happens to be lurking around. I know not everyone is super chatty on this thing, so no problem. But if you are watching and you have any questions, feel free to pop them up. I try to pay attention to the chat. Sometimes I get a little distracted with whatever I'm yapping about. But if I don't manage to answer the question, I'm sure those in the chat that hang out here regularly will happy to do so for you. Granted, this stream is primarily concerned with housing, that feature of the WildStar game, so it's not guaranteed that you'll get any kind of combat advice, maybe from some of the others, but definitely not from me, because I really don't engage too much in that part of it. I'm just focused on the frivolous stuff on the side, though some people consider housing the end game. I think it just depends on the type of player you are, on what you consider the top priority. And that's okay. Not housing isn't for everyone. And my apologies, because I have still the throat problems, but I'm also apparently having the sneezy issues as well this morning. So my apologies for this disgusting bodily functions here. But anyway, so we're going to get started, and hopefully we can make it through the rest. Hey, Serpent, glad you could join. Okay, so when we were outside the entry chair, I'll just pop back out real quick to kind of give you an idea where we are. We are on Echo. They have it labeled, I think it's Alpha Wing, Charlie, Echo, and I assume Delta and Beta are these two. It feels like we're kind of going out of order, but that's just how they set it up. We usually kind of go counterclockwise for whatever gosh reason I decide to do it that way. But as I was looking through some of the other plots just to get the names of the characters that own those particular plots, I noticed that most are associated with Seraphim. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say that Seraphim has completed this community on their own. Pardon me. As you know, the community plots, I think, were intended to be a co-op kind of thing. They expected a lot of builders to kind of blend together, work together in creating these entire little I don't know what you want to call them, little biomes or whatever of their own. But a lot of our builders are pretty ambitious when it comes to building. I think that's been clear with a lot of the plots that we've visited over the years. So it's not uncommon that a single builder will attempt a full-on community build by themselves. In fact, I think one we visited not long ago did that as well. So I'm suspecting that Seraphin has taken care of this plot by themselves. So kudos on them. It's not particularly a project I think I would want to undertake. If I did, it would probably take years and years to complete. So I don't know if I'm ready for that kind of commitment. As far as a single project goes, I'm more into the smaller stuff, but yeah, fabulous work so far that we've seen. So here we go. Echoing appears to be primarily like the ships where the spacecraft that are joining on to the larger ship that this is a full body on thing of. But also medical wings. We've seen a lot of medical offices or facilities in this particular area, and I think that's what this is. So again, I'm not able to name all of the objects that are being used, but I suspect like some of this is some of the pillars and such from the newer cash shop decor packs. I don't know if it's specifically the street curbs stuff or if it's the Dominion things where you can get the walls and the gates and the pillars and things from that. The rest of this is mostly the graded floor panels. Like the item that I'm standing on here, or my character is, it's the same item as this, it's just the back side of it. A lot of us like to use it for sidewalks and streets and blackboards and kitchen cabinetry. It's a really good basic building block, very versatile, and it's got some interesting textures with the honeycomb pattern and everything, so it gets used quite a bit. And my apologies, I just cannot let go of the tickle in my throat. I didn't bring any tea with me this morning, so I'm stuck with water, but hopefully that'll be enough. So we're going to go through this particular structure and see what we can find. This looks to be like the little reception room where you check in for your appointment. These blinds, or whatever you want to call them, those are just staircases. A lot of people like to use them for not only what do you call it, shutters, window shutters, but I've seen them use it as divider walls in houses. They make good for like if you're doing a Western kind of thing, they make good for the saloon doors, among other things. The white part that you see, I'm pretty sure it's just oversized of these lights here, the red moon lights that you can get straight from the housing vendor, in case you were wondering. I suspect that anyway. That's the best I can assume. I don't know if we can actually get inside these rooms, so I'm going to just take a quick look, see if there's anything in particular I want to point out. That door, of course, is a ship hand locker. Over here we've got another kind of, I guess this is the lab works maybe. This part here, aside from it being the med kit, you've got the red moon bar lined up around it. Most of the like the signs with the movement, those are from the what do you call it? Not laser panel, but something along the lines. It comes in a pack. You get one of each color. So if you want multiples of the same one, you kind of sort of have to buy multiple packs. But with the color shifting, that might be a little easier, sort of. But you can see they've been using the color shifting quite a bit to kind of, you know, these are typically blue, but now they're green. These here for like the blood transfusions, that's just the medical drip, and they've got the bar for the drip hidden inside the wall. The cabinetry is mostly travel posters, I think. It could also be a combination of the panels here, the graded floor panels. Both work really well for cabinetry and things, especially if you're wanting it to look nice and clean like a black marble or something. These uh, not bulletin boards, but clipboards, there we go. I knew I'd get the word. I think those are the ends of the medical cots. I think they have a clipboard hanging on them, and they've just pushed the cots inside, so you don't see the cot itself, just the clipboards, which is kind of clever. Good use of an item for a medical facility like this. The lettering here, I believe, is just hover part pieces, the flat floors. This part here, it's a typical Dominion item. I don't recall the name of it, but it looks like they got like 4 of them to set up this little entranceway for the door. I'm just kind of following along the left side here so I can kind of make sure not miss anything. This looks like to be a not exactly a surgery room maybe, but examination room of some sort. This part, I honestly don't know what this is. It looks like something that might be familiar, but it's like super oversized, so I don't recognize it. But yeah, I don't know. This is that medical thing we've seen in a few places earlier or yesterday, and I don't know the name of it. It's some kind of a scanner thingy. It's a medical apparatus, and the individual building this plot has used it quite a bit for the wires, and in other cases the bottom of it for different parts, because they like the signs and all of the cables and things that come with it. Same way here, I think this is an oversized of something. I don't know what it is in particular, but like these here, that's the airtight containers. Um, this here is one of the scanners, plus I think a medical device. Again, I don't know the heart monitor thing. That's where you get the little blip. And then of course these edging parts are just the same lights that they're using for all the other bits out here. Magnetized container. This little beauty here, examination table, scanning table, some kind of, I don't know, repair unit thing. It's sleeping bags, and then this here is, I think it's a cryopod, but it's the Dominion version. It's only available to Dominion side. There's been many like spaceports and such that use this as a door. Not only faux open ones, but just for faux doors in general. Unfortunately, it's not available to Exile side as far as I am aware. It's the same for some of the Exile items. It's only for our side and not the Dominion. But I think they got the better deal. This one is much more versatile than the Exile version. So, in my opinion, I'm sure there's some that can argue the opposite, but I think this one would be better to have. For the lid to it, it's just again those same red moon bars we saw on the sign on the floor earlier with some curved glass, and then right on the edge to kind of cover up the open end of the glass. They've got the portable holograph, the long one. Let's see. Again, I don't know what these things are called, but they use them quite a bit. Same way with this bit here. We've seen it used extensively yesterday, and I have no clue what it is. But like this part here with the clipboard, again, it's that the cot. I think, yeah, it's this item here. It's just this one over here is sunk into the wall, so you don't see the bed itself. Let's see. And it's like this part here, this machine that they got put together, it's this part here. It's just oversized and they've hidden the rest of it. And so it kind of makes it look like a different item, even though it's the exact same thing. And I think they've added some sparkling. I don't think it's animated as much down here. It might be, hard to tell. Um, Let me see. Over here we have a nice set of cabinets and sink. It's the kitchen sink. It's just been built around so it blends in a little better. Um, the handles, I think, are Merg Dynamite with 2x4s splitting up the cabinets, and of course just walls. A little bit of like you've got the magnetized container here. This fire extinguisher, it's a pretty rare item. You don't normally see it out too much, but if you can get a hold of one, it's a nice little addition. You can throw it in. And of course, these here on the side are the airtight containers again. A little bit of a waiting room, it looks like. And I think this is meant to be like the elevator. Can't actually go in. Again, same lights that being used everywhere else. These panels that you see from time to time, those are from the Red Moon decor pack from the cash shop. The NPCs, I don't know where all of those come from. I think this is a mannequin and this is one of the moody doctors, surgeon, something like that. Again, some of the same pieces from the other room, but just arranged differently. This little cabinet here is basically just the metal containers surrounded by uh, travel posters, capped and ended with it. This here is the Mordash stool. It's actually a pretty cool looking item, but they're just showing you the legs to it. That's why it lights up, because it's actually a seat. But I think they liked it because it's got the syringe looking bits on it, so it looks like a medical device rather than using it as a chair. Here's one of those. It's like a decontamination. That's why I said the holograph bits, the long ones and even the short ones, are a big favorite for that kind of setup if you're trying to pretend like you're spraying someone down to get all the germs off or whatever. You've got some of the soul frost pipes that you can get from the Arctera area. Again, vent tanks. These, I think, are the propane tank, different ends of it. Um, the arrows, of course, are the uh, neon sign. It's the one with the green octopus on it, but if you push it in just enough to hide the octopus, then that just leaves you with the arrow. It's a big fave for those that want to, either give directional indications, or we've seen them use it for restrooms or other signs. It's a favorite. These bits here, I want to say, are the Exile fence posts, the ones that's got the little whirligig that moves, and they're just oversized to make it look like different kinds of piping, but I'm not for positive on that. And this one, I'm not even going to try and guess. We've got a lot of bits and pieces that have cables and wires on them, so uh, you just have to kind of play around and uh, take an up-close look to see if a particular item, because like a lot of people like to use this piece, but only have the what do you call it, the wheelie gig showing for like a shower for the handles there, or for like a sink or something like that. That way they don't have this whole big bulky part shown, but they just show this. But there's also this on various tanks and other large equipment that other people get away with using as well. So that was the decon room, decontamination. Again, travel posters, hover part pieces for the lettering, and of course the panel is from that decor pack from the cash shop. There's another little waiting room area. The table is basically an exile table, but then it's been topped with several of the uh, Draken walls. The Draken walls have that nice riveted edging. I like it for like flower bed trays because I pretend that the marbled green and brown look is kind of like a ground or dirt. So you'll see this a lot in gardens and things like that. But they're using it as a table for this particular room, which looks nice. And of course, it's always fun to have the travel posters behave as like magazines or book covers. Same way with this. This is the not travel. Keep trying to say travel too much. It's the tablet computer, and they've added another panel underneath that actually has some animated bits to make it look like the tablet computer is actually working. But it's actually two pieces together. Possibly that one there, the standing screen. Again, pay attention to the sign here, how some of it disappears. It doesn't matter if you've got things the same size as other parts. Often some of the pieces just don't show up at a distance. It makes it tricky for like screenshots if you're trying to get a good shot of like the whole interior here. This kind of messes up. You just have to kind of learn what pieces work better or just how far you can push it before the sign properly appears. I've had that trouble in the past, especially for exterior shots. Interior, it's often a little easier because your walls are going to be close enough where you're not going to feel like you want to back out super far anyway, like in this instance. But just keep that in mind when you're putting some of these things together. Again, it's the Sulfrost bits, but they've been color shifted just to give it a little different look. I'm guessing this is maybe like the critical ward. That's the impression I get anyway. Remember, this is the Osun, or I believe so, the Osun prefab home. I think they've been using the same one on all of the plots so far. Trying to get an overall look. I hope I'm not going too fast for folks. I try to mention most things. If I see it's kind of a repeat or a lot of stuff that's already been mentioned before, I kind of skip over it. But I don't intend to just bypass everything as if it doesn't really matter because it's important to take a look. I mean, you can see like these are some of the Cassian pillars and stuff and some of the building work. For the little beds here, it's similar to what we saw earlier or yesterday. It's just the regular bed, but they've boxed it in a way so you don't see the woodwork of the bed frame that is originally on the item. And then they've got the medical table up here, the top part, and then the airtight containers on the bottom. Again, I know it sounds like a broken record, but the medical table, there are two versions on the housing vendor, one more expensive than the other. I think one's like 4 gold and the other one's like 50 silver. Make sure you're buying the 50 silver one. They're exactly the same item. They just happen to be strangely listed twice and at different prices for whatever reason. There's that one, and then I think there's some kind of Oran uh, ornate flower pipe thing. There's two of those as well, and there may be some others that are got duplicates. Just pay attention. Make sure you're getting the cheap version. No need to spend extra money when you don't have to. uh, this here, I assume it's one of those new Macari pieces. It has the same look as some of the furniture I saw, but where it comes from, or if it's like from a cash thing or Madame Faye or whatever, I have no idea. It's pretty unusual looking. I wouldn't doubt someone could probably come up with something just as nifty looking as a makeshift item made out of multiple other things, but it's nice to have these single items that you can use in fun ways without having to always custom build everything. Although for someone like me, I kind of prefer the custom building, but that's just me. And here we have a bunch of those faux granite hatches, but then you can see this one actually functions. Red moon vents, again, most of the walls and decoration. I think these are maintenance platforms. These might be two, but I'm not sure. And the flooring comes from Arcterra. It's like one of the first items you can get when you get like friendly reputation. And I'm guessing will probably be, oh, well, there you go. Okay, this is the yucky place. Burning the body. Oh gosh, guess this is the incinerator thing. So they got an NPC laying there being toasted. I don't know what the fire is, if it's maybe the, we've got several burning items, like the actual flame pack from the decor shop. There's also the campfires and the fire pits. But if you can get involved in the Z-Pre Invitational, it's the hoverboard racing event that happens every now and then. You can get burning tracks from that. It's just a long strip of fire. I imagine that might be what that one is, but I can't say for sure. But you know, if you're looking for some extra fire uh, kind of items, that's a good place to pick some up. Yeah, that was a surprise for me. Okay, here's another lab. It's kind of similar to the one we were with earlier, but you can see they've kind of modified it a little bit. The table here is travel posters. Got a little, what do you call it, a Bunsen burner kind of thing set up. It's, I want to say this is either a lamp or light from like Farsight or something, and they've got it upside down so you see the legs, and then they've added uh, a flame there. I assume from the cash shop bits, and of course the file. Thought that was pretty clever. That could be not just in a medical thing, but any kind of lab works. Folks are always looking for new ways to bring in these little goodies here. Like I think this one is part of, yeah, it's the Marauder display. It happens to have those little goo things on the ends of it, and they're using it nicely there. Same way with the medical drips. They recolored a couple of them to just make it a little different. This here, I think, is a combination of panels to give it a lot of readings here, different from everywhere else. Medical tables again for this little cabinet, and then this is one of those new Macari, I think it's just the coffee table. You can see it has a bit of a little glow to it. I don't think it actually gives off any light per se, but it has a nice effect. If you're looking for something to look a little eerie or whatever, for it might be good for a spooky house or a Shades Eve themed area. like a bathroom. These here would, I think, represent hand dryers. That's the back side of the toilet. I know it sounds bad, but that's what it is. It's the Flush-O-Matic 3000, 5000, one of those, and the back of it happens to have this little gadget with the heat coming off of it, and a lot of people love to use it as this alternative item, a hand dryer. Here's a pretty fancy toilet here. It's a combination, of technophage doors that have been recolored. It's typically purple, very gaudy purple, and then they're using an actual door, functional door, to represent the lid, and then they have a little bit of water down here. So this is a pretty elaborate setup. Most of us just kind of pretend like, either a dome or a cylinder is acting as the bowl, and we don't get too fancy with it. I've seen some that add hinges and things, but with this particular phage door, it looks pretty mechanical anyway, so I don't think you have to add that. But this here is a stool with a little cushion, but yeah, pretty clever looking, and it suits the setup really well. It looks high tech and medically, I guess, if that's a word. The mirror is a combination of a plate and a bowl, I think. It's the plate backside and then the bowl for the trim. Travel posters, I suspect, for the cabinet itself, and then they've just inset airtight containers as cabinets for the pillow for the soap. The little shelf here is the Dominion bookshelf, but it's flipped upside down, so you only see the bottom part. Another little waiting area. And here's like the cryo room. These are always fun because they're animated. Not all of them work that way. I think they've got a stationary one that's just open. And then, of course, the other cryopod, that's the flat one that a lot of people like to use for the doors and such. Again, I think this is some kind of a rocket or gun, and they use it in a lot of places in this particular build. Here's the flat cryopods. It's kind of like this, but it's skinnier. And if you flip it over, it's got that, it's the thing that they're using for the scanner in that one room. It's the same item, it's just, it's good for doors, and I've seen some of them use them as drawers on like kitchen cabinets and such. I think this is just an oversized scanner behind, and I'm not sure what's being used for this item. Something a little on the newer side, at least for me, I think. The little monitor system here, again, it's that weird item that I don't know the name of. It's Dominion specific, I think. And I have no idea what's being used for the bottom, or this little carpet thing. But then they just inset the ergonomics keyboards. Makes for a great little system. This could be used not just in this medical lab, but it could be used in a spacecraft as part of the bridge. It could be another control system for someone that's wanting to do like a subway thing or a train, any number of things. Okay, I think that's it here. Maybe this one here. Did I go in this one? No. Okay, I'm not sure what this is supposed to be. These here are the working weapons crates. There's two versions, Exile and Dominion version. They're favorites for those that want functional like cabinets. Refrigerators is a big fave. We've actually seen some being used as like when they're oversized. Use them as like bunk rooms. I think we saw that a few months ago, maybe. Might not have been that long. But this apparently is where they store some of the stuff that needs to be chilled. You can see they're using a lot of ichthyon tanks, and then they insert the strain hearts inside them. These panels here, again, I think it's just part of the crate. Yeah, they're taking advantage of some of the, I don't know if it's Draken specific, but it always reminds me that there's a lot of items like wall hangings with body parts. There's some with, I think these are the ears. There's some tongue ones. And then up here, if you can see, it's the hand. Is kind of disturbing. A lot of people like to use them again for Shades Eve themed or torture rooms and stuff like that. You got some icicles here and frozen water or like ice bits on the floor. The condensation or the smoke that you see coming out, I imagine that's probably one of those. There's some Osun bits from Arctera. It looks like it has like a face. I don't know the name specifically, but they have a lot of steam animations coming off of them from the pipes and things. And I suspect that's what this is doing. It's a red moon vent, but I think they've added it in, inset it inside to give it that extra oomph of making it look like that. Okay, here's the other elevator. We saw the other one with the patient inside, and this is the alternate version. Again, graded floor panel, just the lights. And again, I don't think these lights actually give off any kind of illumination, but they work similar to the metal dividers. They're so bright, they kind of trick you into thinking that it's lit up, which I think is fun. And it's great for those that, again, want to give the illusion that there's more brightness than there actually is. And of course, they don't count against your light limit, which is always lovely. And I think that's it for this particular part. Head back out. Now this, we passed this earlier. Now we saw the hatch area that leads to the exterior of the ship. I don't know if this is the same concept, but it's some kind of lift. Obviously, it's saying you can go up. These here, a lot of these are the bottoms of different tanks or barrels. This one is one of those, it looks like something from Far Side, the like lamp kind of thing. And again, a lot of this is the magnetized container. Now, you can color shift these to get a different color, but if you happen to have the Shades Eve trap, that one actually comes as green, so you can have two different colors without having to spend tokens on shifting them if you want. I think this big part here is part of the spaceship stuff, and of course the neon signs for the arrows. And what gives the lift, the bounce, if we're just kind of jumping regular, if you come across a place where you can jump a little higher, oof, then it's typically the low grav pad fab kit. It takes careful planning, I suspect, to be able to get that arranged in a way that actually works for something like that, but there you go. Now we're up above where, I have no idea, so hopefully, but again, it's one of those, I don't know if you can actually go, well, it looks like this one you can go back down. That's nice to know. Again, I think this is one of those spaceship items. Apparently it has no collision, so you can pass right through it, which is good for those that like to do secret rooms and things. There are a few things that allow you to pass through, but not too many. So let's have a look inside here. Okay, I think we're on the upper level of that one part. Yeah, from here you can see this is where we were yesterday when we very first started and got access to the outside of the ship. We came up to this little wall here and was looking inside. So this is part of the interior of that. Yeah, I'm not sure if I can name everything here. I know some of this is like the airtight containers. The bottom parts here, I don't know if it's the back of the lights and then they've just trimmed it in the little row of the lights. Not for positive on that. I definitely don't know the name of like this item here. Some of this is some of the medical, I think it's the analyzer. Got a little bit on the top and they're just using that top bit. And of course this is the back side of the monitors. It's this item here. It's the same thing here. It's just the back side. Looks a little different, but there you go. A lot of the Red Moon panels, of course. This bit here is just, these two are the same thing, but it's got the airtight containers pushed in, and I think they're covering up the map part. But it's clever, like they're planning a attack or something. Maybe it's their security system here for the ship. And here they got this set up as if they're talking to someone that's being transmitted via a simulation. I assume we'll eventually get out there onto the catwalks and stuff, so I'm not gonna dwell too long on that. Okay, back out. Yeah, so now we're out into the open. Catwalks, of course, are the graded flooring that you can get from Arctera. Let's see, I'm going to get so lost out here. Again, I have no idea what these columns are. I think there's some of those, I don't know if it's called fierce or fiery columns or something, but I don't know if that's the same thing or not. Same way with this thing, I'm not sure what that is. This, again, I'm not for sure. I'm getting really bad because they're adding things now and then, and I don't pay attention too much. I do know this is, I think, part of an engine piece, and then this is like one of the, I think that's part of it as well, and then this is the L-shaped pipe that you can get from the Palavar Point Daily. Those include like the sewage pipes. It has actual running animated sewage coming out of it. I used it in my chocolate factory, which is kind of gross when you think about it because it's supposed to be a sewage pipe and I was using it as chocolate, but you get the idea. I've seen some use it for coffee machines and things like that, but it comes with a variety of different pipes and end pieces and things. So if you're looking for a lot of that kind of stuff, the Palavar Point Daily is definitely one you want to check out now and then. Like this here, I think it's that cannon or gun again, and then some framing with the glass, and then those columns again, whatever those things are that I have absolutely no idea about. And you'll recognize this. This is where we first kind of come into Echo Wing. There's the like a little medical part here, and then that lift that they turned into a hover crane that we discussed earlier. That's there. Have to get right up to it. This appears to be like some kind of cargo elevator. They've got the rockets all set up. This is part of one of the fences, I think. I think there's a protostar fence and a couple others that have this little gadget on it. Because it's supposed to be like electric fences, and it has to have a little electric box on it, and I think that's what they're using here. You just don't see the fence. You can just see how massively huge this place is. This here, I think, is the top of that exile fence post. It's like a long, it's got like bumpy yellow parts, and then it's got that one bit that goes around on the top. And then this here, I think, is the bottom of the early warning system. It's the cage with the dead canary in the bottom. The top part has the red like buttons or lights, and then the bottom has the blue. So both ends are really helpful if you're looking for buttons or lights of a different color, that kind of thing. This is one of the Red Moon panels. This is the back side of that portrait with the lady that kind of looks like she doesn't have any hair. I have no idea what all these parts are. It looks familiar, but the way they've set it up, it looks pretty unusual with the little bracketry. Here's another example of that hover crane that they put together. I don't know if they've actually got anything in these little prefab ships, but I'll take a quick look just to see. No, it doesn't look like anything was added. Guess this is a repair vehicle of some kind. Like a cryopod and a couple of cannons on each side. And then they added the tech arms. Again, a lot of people like these ships. They'll oversize them so that you don't actually see the ship part, but they use the little interior rooms. I've seen some use them like little apartments. Others will oversize them so huge they just become this big interior, and they divide up that space into other little rooms. Spaceship windows often get used as doors instead. Again, I have no idea what this part is. It's moving. Technophage circuitry. I'm not sure if it comes that color or not. I know I've seen purple, but that looks more blue than anything. Some will take these ships and bling them out just to make them look different. I think this one just left theirs as is, though. Again, just think of the detail and how much work they've put into. It's amazing how much they can cram in here. Because again, they're limited just by the same decor count as everyone else, but some people can just pull it off and make it look like it's so easy to add in all of these bits. Like I think that's a wall-mounted generator, then a couple of engine parts, and then the T pipes or the L pipes. I think some of these are the vertical pipes. Don't think we can go in there, so let's take a look. I think this is some of that new Macari furniture, either a table or some such. This item, I can't remember exactly how you get it, but I think it's some kind of an achievement by finding some item in the main city. That'd be Thade for Exile side, but I can't remember exactly. So, like you have to find a table or something that is pretending to be a table, and if you can click it, you get that little wormy holograph thing. Okay, I think that's it here. Like here, this big part, that's part of that medical apparatus that we saw earlier. If we pass it again, I'll show you. I don't see it here. Okay, so that's where we go out. Let's go through here. Again, I think these wall bits here is some of that uh, metal containers, metal containers. Again, I wish I could tell you what this item stuff is, but I have no idea. It's a nice break on the floor, though. Add a little different look to it. This here is the conference table, the Dominion conference table. It's oversized and used as part of the wall. This is either some of the arcade stuff or Retros items. I don't know specifics on that. I feel like I'm getting way off somewhere. Again, I don't want to miss anything, but looks like we're entering the bridge. Yeah, this is the part that we could see when we were on the outside, which, see that from here. Yeah, there's the entrance to the ship area we just come from. And right around here, I think, is the entrance to the down below where I think we entered from Charlie Wing. So this is like the bridge. It's got a lot of different doodads. The red lights, I think they're part of the technophage circuitry. I'm not for positive on that. Again, the white lighting, that's all the same red moon light that you can get from the vendor. These here, I think this is one of the engine parts or spaceship parts. And then you've got the magnetized container for that little bit. These panels here are part of that scanner. You just got a bunch of them lined up together to make it look like weird little panels there. Again, part of that cannon rocket thing, and then they've just added in this scanner there. I can't name everything. Like I think these are part of the captain's chair, and it's just like the top part showing. I have no idea about that one. They're really making a good use of all the different panels and screens that we have available, and tricking you into thinking it's new items, but they just kind of smushed them together. Like these here is a combination of the Eldon panel and the Marauder panel, and then this one's like the Macari table, and then the regular control panel, and then part of the medical thing as well. These are, I think, are just exile signs, and then they've got, I suspect, either a combination of, or it's just just based off of the animation that I see, uh, maybe target dummies. I think they have some of that weird stuff, or it could be a combination of like a holograph thing. It has some of that swirly stuff as well. Airtight containers for this little doodad. I'm trying not to pay attention to the outside because that movement of the sky kind of bothers me, but maybe you guys can catch a glimpse as I pan around here. There's that. There's the full captain's chair right here. But in the other room, they were just showing this part. I tend to get motion sick, so that's why I'm kind of averting my gaze, because that's really disturbing to me. This little platform here, it looks to be maintenance platforms and possibly graded floor panels to finish it off, get all nice and smooth. Again, I don't know what this Dominion item is. It's like cannon arm or something. I really have no idea. The backs of those Marauder panels here, or like it looks like little buttons or something, some kind of screen, touch screens. Lots of levers, the ergonomics keyboard. Here I think is one of the tank bits. These here are detonators. Got a nice little button. A lot of us use it for control panels like this. This is the part on the actual item, and then there's also an antenna bit. A lot of people like use that for signs, like if they're wanting to do like a exit sign or something. That's a big fave. Airtight containers, I think here. These parts with the yellow, I think those are drills. This always reminded me of like an eyeball, but I think it's got like, it's the drill with the 3 legs. Again, this item's like used so much and I have no idea what it's called. Again, detonator, exiled tactical table, I think, and then scanner, and then this part here is another control panel. Probably one of the more complex and open and with special different sections of a bridge. We've seen a few more with like really just they go all out on the buttons and everything, but this one's pretty nice. Again, the planning that has to go into all of this, I can't imagine. Okay, so we've been there. Okay, I think that's the entire bridge. Let's head back down. Yeah, I'm suspecting it's getting ready to take us to the other place. Yeah, that's what it looks like. And I don't think we're finished with the other one, so I'm just going to move over here anyway, because I don't know if you can only reach it from here or not. Okay, it looks like they give you access to it this way as well. So we'll just back up and go back down to the elevator or teleporter or whatever you want to call it from the previous plot and make sure we finish covering it. Again, it takes planning to be able to set up a place like this where you have multiple entrances to the same areas. Sometimes if you've got too many, then it becomes more like a maze. But I think this one does it in a really good way. There's a few connecting points, but it's I don't know, would you call that like more linear, I guess? That, there's a pretty definitive path to follow to get from uh, plot to plot. Okay, out popped we go. Let's see, did we go to this one? Yeah, this is where we come out from there. Let's go this way. Because if I remember right, we should come out to the main hallway soon, where we first started. Yeah, probably there. So let's just go. So here's like your sign that we just left the E wing, Echo wing. Again, I can't possibly name all the items here, but like this is the same thing as this, but it's like two of them sandwiched together. And then here you've got that probe thingy that you can get from the daily login reward. This looks like a power source room because you see all the generators here. Again, some of this piping is actual just individual piping, and others I think come from some of the OSUN bits. But like this here is like the portable planter. I think it's the bottom of it that lights up like that. A lot of those technophage tubes. These here, those are the gauges and such from the rusty fuel pump, I think is the name of that. It's actually red and it looks like an old-fashioned uh, gas pump from like a fuel station. But they've just pushed it in so you just see the gauges and such. This looks like it's part of a cryopod or something. I'm not sure on that. So I imagine this is the control center for this part of the facility. Again, some of the technophage circuitry boards. These, I think, are the bottoms of some tanks or barrels. Again, I think it's that cannon or gun. Eldon panel. Some space chase items like engine parts and things. Pretty straightforward. I think that's part of that this item here, but there's like two pieces hidden. I think it's these here that you see. We just got it back to back. So it makes it look like a different item, but it's really the same thing. And I think this is one of those Red Moon tables or something. Some cryopod pod bits. And over here you got a lot of Ichthian goodies, the tanks. Same way here, these are just the same tank, it's just lined up one after the other to make it look like some kind of liquid tubing. And then using those same pipes earlier to kind of blend it all together. This bit here is basically just two of those protostar panels end to end. Make it look like some kind of a power generator of some sort. Now this door, I imagine it's multiples of these panels here, which I think is the maintenance platforms, but I'm not really positive on that. But you can see how they've had to patch it together to make space for the windows and the door here. Not the easiest thing to stick together, I don't think. And now we're in the main corridor, because I believe on this side is the bank, I think. Yes. That's the bank we visited yesterday. There's the little sign. And then you see the entrance to the D wing, which I guess would be Delta. Before we do that, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the other shop that's over here. Because there's the bank, and then up here, I think it was a general store. And here we have some of their displays of some of their boss trophies from raids and such. And then I guess this would be the barber shop. They've got a pair of swords representing scissors. Oops. And then the Winterfest posts make it look like a barbershop pole. Countertop is, I believe, travel posters. And I'm not really sure what that surface is. It's really shiny. It reminds me of the Dominion shelf, but the Dominion shelf has a little doodad on the ends. I don't think that's what this is. Not really sure. So again, my fave is that Dominion chair because it looks like either a barber seat or like a dentist chair or something along those lines. And they've just kind of gone with it using the exotic dividers to kind of dress up the place. Here for the shelf, it's just the end of one of the walls. Same way here, I think they're using that to kind of create these little inset shelves. These are the ends of pillars, I think, thick parts. And then the cabinetry here is the same as you see up in the front, I believe. The scissors, again, they're keeping it simple. We had a few people make actual scissors with like the round finger holds. It's not easy. I think the items I use has been buckets, but again, for the sign outside, that wouldn't have been feasible because there's nothing to hide the bucket part because the sign's too thin. But if we ever get some kind of like you could probably use maybe hanging cables and kind of loop them a little weirdly to make a sort of circle, maybe. It's just it'd have to be really tiny, and that's probably not practical for a long distance shot like this. But two swords like that works just as well. If you're looking for more like hedge clippers, I think a lot of people like to use the knives from the actual silverware set. Again, pretty nice little setup. This little bit here, it looks like a rug. That's another one of the exotic pieces. like a table or side table or something. This bit here, I'm not for positive what that's from. Uh, Maybe it's another exotic piece and they're just using just a little bit of it. I can't say for sure. Because it looks similar to this, but I don't know which item it is in specific. And then of course the hair dryers are the backs of the toilets again. Same thing that they used for the hand dryers in the restrooms earlier. Billboard sign, I think it's just the Dominion screen. And then the text and stuff I think comes from the Exile bulletin board. And then there's the entrance to the B zone. So we're going to go back to D real quick and go in there. Yeah, I have a feeling this is going to take a little longer than 2 hours. So we still got the full 2 blocks to go through. But that's what happens when you have such amazing detail and so much to see. It's just really tough to keep. You don't want to rush through it, or at least I don't. I would feel bad if I did, and I don't want to miss anything. So I'm very meticulous as best as I can to try and get through it and still show everything. Again, technophage circuitry, the Osun grading, graded floor panels here, tanks here, and I don't know if we'll be able to get inside there. Looks like, I don't know if this is supposed to be like prison stuff. A little bit medical there. Oh, here we go. Here's the door. Hop in there. Oops. Walk right by it. See, like this. I think that's one piece, and then they've added in the seats that makes it look like it's usable. This here, I don't know, is this like a torture place? It's got like chains and stuff. This here, the spade, if you flip it around the other way, it looks like a shovel head. But there's a little quirkiness about the end of it, so if you turn it a different way, it looks like this little pitchfork thing. A lot of people like to use it for like fondue sets and other types of fork silverware instead of the traditional bit. Just a heads up on that. So like if you're using it kind of like just standing in the center and it's visible from one direction, it'll look like it's got a gap and the other it doesn't. It's just one of those quirky things. Okay, this doesn't look too nice. I think that's one of the generators. Again, I have no idea what that item is. It's going to irk me because I use it so much in here. Some more of those pod thingies. Tanks, that column thingy. I don't know what it is. I got the hanging wires there. I think this item here is the same as this one that's rotating. The name's like right on the tip of my tongue. It's like proto generator something or other. I've used it in a few places, but the name escapes me right now. But it's definitely something you can go get off of the housing vendor. I'm pretty sure. Okay, this might be like an interrogation room for a prisoner or something. I'm not positive. Yeah, this seems like a two-way mirror sort of thing. You couldn't see through this one, but you can see through the other side, which is kind of weird. I'm not sure what. Okay, it looks like they've tried to make a ashtray with a cigarette or a cigar or something. Maybe. Looks like the end of a handle, and then they've got some kind of smoke coming from. It's either a cup of tea or something like that, because it doesn't look very dominant. A lot of like the toxic barrels and such, that will go like through multiple floors because it's so long and clear, visible, no matter what size you make it. Again, soul frost piping. Is this a gas chamber or something? I like how they make a lot of this functional, so you could actually, a role play troupe could come through here and really have some fun with a lot of the rooms. This is one of those protostar hatchery things. I think a lot of people were upset because the goo is so opaque. They were hoping for some translucent or clear tanks, add to their arsenals of hanky stuff for like aquariums and things like that. Okay, continuing on. Robot repair station. That's possible. Okay, is this a dead end? I moved my mouse over just to make sure nothing's like actually open. Here's a little weapon station. Again, these are from those scanners. Chua bookshelf, I think, or Exile bookshelf, one of the two. Some kind of bookshelf. Some kind of prison room. Again, all of these functioning doors, the gates or portcullis, if you want to call it, the circular doors, the stone walls and stuff. A lot of people are having fun using those. It's good that we have so many choices now. Before we just had like, I think it was 3 of them on the housing vendor. Now with all these different ones, folks really have fun with it.